Now, the family of a man who was kicked and stamped on by a police officer at Manchester Airport says it's been left traumatised by what happened.
A Greater Manchester Police firearms officer has been suspended following the incident on Tuesday, which has caused protests across several parts of the city.
We're joined now by the Rochdale MP, Paul Waugh. Paul, good morning to you. Now, the reason we're talking to you is because you have actually been in conversation with the family. You are dealing with this event. You have seen the protests, the gatherings in Rochdale after that video was released. Shall we start with the conversation you've had with the family and whatever you feel free to kind of tell us and how the family's feeling?
Sure. I met the family yesterday for a long time in their home. It's clear from talking to them that they are traumatised. Lots of people saw that video clip and were really distressed by it. The police themselves said it was a distressing clip. But just imagine if that was your brother, if that was your son in that video. And you can imagine just how distraught they are. So their priorities, there are two priorities for the family, they told me they want me to make clear to everyone. First is the health and well-being of their family immediately, healing, getting better. But the second priority is justice and the need for justice, not just to be done, but seen to be done. And they've been really heartened by the early engagement of the Independent Office for Police Conduct, who've engaged with them quite quickly. There's a danger that sometimes these cases can go off in the ether for several years to be investigated, but they've been really encouraged by the early contact they've had. And that's really important to say.
In terms of the community, there's been a lot of anger and frustration once this video came out. How is the sense of community? How is the family feeling in terms of that and how the community has reacted in support largely for this family?
That's a really important point, Naga, actually, because the family, the other message, the strong message they wanted me to give people is that they've got no political agenda whatsoever. They're not interested in political violence. They're not going to attend any of these protests, and they wanted me to issue an appeal for calm amongst the community, all different types of communities in Rochdale. You know, we've had a history of unfortunate division within our town, and we do not want to go back to those days. And they wanted, through me, to make that absolutely clear. Their agenda is simply to find justice after this incident, and there's no political agenda whatsoever. More importantly, they're acutely aware that there are extremists of all sides who are keen to hijack this incident and use it for their own ends. The family are not interested in that at all.
Paul, can I just take you back to the earlier comments you made? And clearly you're an MP, you're not a medic. What have they shared with you about the injuries? And what are you at liberty to tell us?
Well, I can't go into detail about that because obviously some of it will be part of the legal process. But clearly the family members have been hospitalised. One of them was taken to hospital for another scan. I'm hoping that they're on the mend. But obviously the after effects of an incident like this, you know, they're difficult to assess immediately at the time.
So as it stands, you're not understanding... Sorry, could you just establish that once again? You know,
they're at home. Yeah, they're not in hospital.
No one is remaining in hospital?
No.
At this stage, as we speak this morning?
No, they're at home.
OK, but there are injuries for which they have received treatment?
Yes.
OK. You were talking about the community, and clearly we're hearing a number of messages of everyone, MPs included, leaders in the community, saying how shocked they were at seeing the images. There is a real risk always with these situations that other people can get involved. It's something you've already alluded to. Absolutely.
The other point that is really important here is that I didn't just see the family yesterday. I went to see the Assistant Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police yesterday to look at some of the footage and to get some of the full facts. I can't go into those for obvious reasons. There's a process that's got to be followed through. And it's worth saying that I also passed on to the Assistant Chief Constable my wishes and my thoughts about the police officer, the female police officer who was injured in an incident in the run-up to this incident, and making absolutely clear that obviously the full independent process has to be followed. It's clear that this is a complex, fast-moving incident, but obviously there's no justification whatsoever for what we've seen, and I think the police have made that clear. That's why this officer has been suspended, but we've got to let the independent process follow its due course.
And in reference to that, the police have said that whilst trying to arrest a suspect, 3 officers were attacked, 1 officer suffered a broken nose, all 3 needed hospital treatment, and they've obviously suspended the officer involved, we're assuming, the officer that was seen in that video, that kicking incident. When the Home Secretary says she shares the deep concern surrounding the video. You and Sir Keir Starmer have now said there's a process. What's the process?
The process is the Independent Office for Police Conduct. They're going to look into exactly what happened. They're going to take witness statements. And it's really important that that is allowed to happen in a really fully independent manner. They're independent of the police, and I think the family are really encouraged by that, as a lot of the community are encouraged by that. But there's lots of evidence they need to gather, and they need to do it methodically, but also swiftly. As I say, we can't have a delay in this. And it's that balance between being thorough, but also being quick and responding to this incident. Don't forget, there's lots of social media clips out there. We shouldn't rush to judgment about this. There's also things that happened off camera, which there need to be witness statements gathered for. And
Andy Burnham said this as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that the full evidence is seen, because that's only fair to all the parties involved.
Obviously, you're communicating messages from the family. Are they intending to do any press themselves? Do you know that?
No, they're not. No, this is a family that wants its privacy protected right now. They're obviously traumatised. They don't want any further intrusion.
Paul Waugh, thank you very much for your time
MP
this morning.
Rochdale.
Paul Waugh is the MP for Rochdale. Thank you.